how do I convert a fraction into a decimal? We know that some fractions can be converted into decimals. 1/2, you might have heard, is equal to 0.5, and 1/4 is equal to 0.25. We know it can be done, but how do we do it if we're not sure what the decimal is, or if we get a crazy fraction like 84/200? How do we convert a fraction into a decimal? What's going on here? This video is going to teach you how to convert any fraction that you get thrown, right? Any fraction you want into its decimal form, into a decimal. Let's get started. The question asks, what is 84 in the numerator over 200 in the denominator written as a decimal? To turn this fraction into a decimal, we're going to follow two easy steps. The first step is horse and cowboy. So you might be thinking, what do horses and cowboys have to do with fractions and decimals? And the answer is not much, but they are a really good way to remember what you're supposed to do when you're converting a fraction like 84/200 into a decimal. Imagine that your 84/200 is actually a cowboy on top of his horse. Right? So the cowboy, the 84, is riding the horse. And they go inside. They want to sleep, so they find a barn or they find an inn somewhere. And when they go inside to sleep, ask yourself this question: who is going to sleep inside? Who's going to sleep inside the house? I'm not letting my horse sleep inside the house. It's got to be the cowboy. The cowboy has got to sleep inside that house. So our cowboy, our 84, remember the cowboy is riding the horse, so it's on top. That 84 goes inside our long division bracket. And the horse, well, the horse is going to stay outside, right? The horse gets, chained up or tied up to some kind of pole outside. Horse stays outside. That 200 stays outside. And by learning this story, right, we have said the cowboy goes inside, the horse goes outside. We've actually set up the correct division that we have to do to turn any fraction into a decimal. Let's do step 2. Step 2's name isn't quite as cool, but it is just as important, in fact, more important. It is decimal divide. We have to do decimal division. Now we can set up our division, that's great, but we've got to get our actual division steps perfect. So let's grab our division problem and let's decimal divide it. Just like any long division, we're doing 200. How many times does 200 go into 8? Right? We want to do this whole number into the first number. 200 goes into 8 0 times, because 200 is much bigger than 8. 200, no way you're going to be able to fit 200 into 8. So it can only go in 0 times. It can't go in any times. The next question is, how many times can 200 go into 84? Well, 200 is bigger than 84 too. 200 is huge. 84 is too small. So again, it's going to go in 0 times. Now what do we do? Well, if we're good decimal dividers, we know that if we run out of space, if we need to fit this 200 in, but we just simply can't, we've got 2 zeros, we don't know what we're doing, we have to add a decimal right here and throw it up top as well. So we add a decimal right to the right of the 84, we throw it up top, and now, because 84 is equal to 84.0 and also to 84 many zeros as we want. As many zeros as we want on this 84. So let's just grab a 0. And we'll say, well, how many times does 200 go into 840? I'll tell you right now, it's 200, 400, 600, 800. So it's going to go in 4 times. It's going to go in 4 times. 4 times 200, well, that's going to be 800. Do our subtraction. 0 minus 0 is 0. 4 minus 0 is 4. 8 minus 8 is 0. So we've got 40. How many times does 200 go into 40? Well, again, 200 is huge. It can't fit into 40. Are we stuck? Are we done? No way. We can just add another 0 because 84.00 is just equal to 84. We haven't changed anything. We just get to throw this other 0 on there and we get to drop it down. How many times does 200 go into 400? Well, that's easy. It goes in 2 times. It goes in 2 times. 2 times 200, that's going to be 400. Giving us zeros. 400 minus 400, that's going to be 0. And we are done. We've just changed 84 over 200 into the decimal 0.42, which is equal to 0.42. The decimal equivalent of 84 over 200 has got to be 0.42. How do we find that? Well, first we told our story about a horse and a cowboy. We said 84 was the cowboy, 200 was the horse. They go inside for the night, cowboy sleeps inside, the horse sleeps outside. Then we did our decimal division to find our decimal equivalent, and we found 0.42.